One Nightcrawler barely alive. Kills its own Nightcrawler by pulling out a Rallying Banner, but that's important because a Rallying Banner won't be hurt by the Orb of Corruption. Pulls out a Phoenix and is going to go after that orb before it hopefully can finish. Now, the West only had Tier 1 and managed to pull out 2 Nox Troopers and summoned the second one before the first one finished, and did the same strategy again. If you summon 2 units before the summoning animation is over, the first one won't take any damage, so that's a very effective way if you've lost your orb to use Orb of Corruption. The orb gets finished, but the East still has presence and is bringing out Shadow Phoenix again. The West is sticking with Shadow Mages. I like them because there's Nightcrawlers in play, but the Phoenix just devastates them. It might be a better idea to use Dark Elf Assassins. They have enough life to survive a Phoenix Strike without dying, whereas the Shadow Mage becomes entirely useless after a Phoenix Strike. I think that orb's going to go down again here, yeah. Dark Elf Assassin spam is going to get it. The East has fully repaired their orb. The West was never able to continue that offensive after they lost their first orb, so the East got lucky there by playing very offensively. They were able to finish off the orb first. It looks like the West has decided not to continue defending their home base. They've sent out a couple Nightcrawlers, one on an offensive and one... Yeah, I think they're going to replace the orb down south. They're going to give up on that base now. They realize they can't hold it. I'm not sure if they plan on using Undead Army again. The West does have a good power supply though. They have a Resource Booster in play. They're being assaulted now by Firestalkers, but they've pulled out a Night Guard. It's got enough range to harass it, and eventually maybe it'll try and swap for it. Another Nightcrawler is attacking against the East. I think that was the Nightcrawler that went and grabbed this monument. And going out with a strong offensive, pulling out Nox Troopers and Shadow Phoenix. 2 Shadow Phoenix now. As soon as that orb finished, I think they had enough power that they decided to spam units. I think that monument is going to go down, and so did the power well. So the West has successfully destroyed the East starting base.
Are under attack.
The East decides to replace their monument in the center. And they've also already bought a Frost Monument in the north, so they're tier 3, they just have to replace their first orb. They're playing 3 different colors here, so it's very important that they keep their first orb. I suspect most of their units depend on Shadow Orb being in play, so that's their most critical orb, and now it's very badly placed in a very hard to defend position in the center. They're resuming their offensive with the Firestalker. I'm not sure if that Night Guard's going to swap for it if it can at that range. The East pulls out a Lost Grigori, very powerful unit, very good if buffed, and obviously Nasty Surprise is very effective with it as well. The Firestalker got ravaged, and the West finally decided to swap for it, and brings out a Shadow Mage to try and finish off that Night Guard. He'll probably work with the knockback. The East is putting an offensive down on the West's southern monument, and the Grigori is going towards their canyon base.
Your forces are under attack.
The Firestalker they stole is now assaulting the Frost Orb of the East. A Tremor comes into play, attacking the Shadow Orb that they replaced for the West, and a Aura of Corruption, Nether Warp, and Shadow Phoenix finish it off. That was a lot of power to kill one Tremor, but the West is desperately trying to hold their 2 orbs. They're already at an orb disadvantage, and they're trying to make sure they don't lose it. Nasty Surprise right now would finish off this monument in power well, but the East, I think, doesn't want to lose their Grigori, so they're trying to kill it manually. Aura of Corruption is not available since it was just used, and it's got a 40-second cooldown. So the East knows that they're safe to use their Grigori manually for the time. But as soon as an Aura of Corruption comes out, I would definitely Nasty Surprise that. The Rogue and Kale has prevented the Grigori from doing any attacking for quite a while now, and the Grigori is quite damaged. Now a lot of Shadow Mages in play. I really think that the East should have Nasty Surprised that thing and just taken out the orb. And, they would have been easily able to do that with the amount of life it had, and now they've lost their offensive without successfully killing anything.
Your forces are under
I don't know,
attack.
perhaps the East doesn't have Nasty Surprise in their deck. Very devastating Shadow Phoenix there. There were 4 Shadow Mages in play, and now 2 of them are dead and 2 of them are useless. The West still only has 2 monuments versus the East's 3, and on top of that they're trying to hold a canyon position against siege units, and they're depending a lot on Shadow Mages, but I think they're going to have a very hard time holding this position, considering that the East has an orb right over them, and the East pulled out 2 Virtuosos to attack. Looks like they're attacking 2 different places at once, but the West is doing a Nightcrawler offensive and takes down the Shadow Monument of the East. The East has a bunch of tier 3 units in play though, Virtuosos, Tremors, so if they can finish off those Nightcrawlers, replace the orb, they can still continue an offensive with all these tier 3 units they have out. Rogan goes down. Looks like that Tremor's going to die to the Nightcrawlers. They won't be able to hold on to that orb. Again, Nether Warp and Shadow Phoenix to finish off a Virtuoso. Not very power efficient, but it's critical that the player doesn't lose their orb at the moment. And the orb's not under repair. I really think they should probably be repairing that orb. It's very low on life right now, less than half life. The West decides to take the center monument now, so the West has going tier 3 where the East is only have 2 orbs. They could have taken a monument earlier at this position where they have a power well, and probably could also purchase that power well, since their power wells they have from earlier are running dry.
A power well is under attack.
Let's see. The East is going to try and replace their monument. I suspect at their canyon position. Yes, they are. The West has Rallying Banner. Their 3rd monument was Fire, and they have Rallying Banner at tier 3. And Cultist Masters. I suspect this means Soul Shatters. Fully upgraded Cultist Masters just do a devastating amount of damage with all these Nightcrawlers, and then on top of that a Soul Shatter will finish off everything if he drops one. Looks like everything's a bit close together there. I don't think that was necessary. That orb only had maybe 100 life left, and instead they killed all their Cultist Masters and Rallying Banner. At least they finished the job, but I think that was a little overambitious.